We're going to be reviewing our audience feedback from our rough cut and how we have changed this.
For our audience feedback that we got, it was mostly negative, and they said that the lighting was too bright to be a horror movie, and that they were questioning why we added the flashback and why we added the rain in the beginning as well, and that the recordings weren't, the voice recordings weren't really clear, and we needed smoother transitions, and that it wasn't scary basically. And we were basically trying to do too much in the opening, and the openings are supposed to, raise enigmas
And not be like a trailer.
Yeah. And they basically said that it's confusing them, and that it seems funny, especially the scene when the therapist asks Bella what's wrong, and they said that it didn't come across as being a scary movie. It came across as being like
a comedy, kind of something that's funny. And they said about the spirit Eva having too much screen time, and that because it's just an opening, we shouldn't see too much of her.
Yeah, and they said that we're putting everything on there, and it doesn't have a smooth flow, and we needed to work on our titles as well, according to them. This was a rough cut that we put on our blog, and we asked for audience feedback. So this was the negative stuff that we got, and the positive stuff we got was that
they said that the ghost character was good, so Eva knew what she was doing and her character was good, her costume, and that it makes sense, and that it was a good storyline, and that it relates to the horror genre well, and that is a good opening, and the mise en scène looks good. So there was like a range of ideas, and most of them were saying that the good aspects were the costume and the spirit. They also liked our logo, so that's production one of the eye, and again they mentioned the mise en scène, the second one, and this one said that they liked the flashback. They found it effective. That we needed more, like a range of different sounds because we didn't use many, and some of them said that we needed more camera shots, but some said that we used a good range of shots, and that was a good story.
Yeah, and so basically when we reviewed our audience feedback, we weren't really happy with it, and we wanted to improve it, but we didn't know how to improve the lighting. We tried to edit all of our clips and added like effects that made it look darker, but that wasn't helping us.
Yeah, it didn't really benefit because we changed the shots for all of them, but because they're all filmed at different angles, it would change.
So
constantly.
We tried to keep the percentages the same as well on iMovie for each effect that we did, like for the brightness or for the contrast or for the exposure, but it was defeating the purpose. So then we decided that if we want to improve our film, we would have to film it again rather than just working with this one, because that would entail us to getting new clips and improving everything that we can after having a look at the audience feedback that we got. So they mentioned the location, the lighting, and the editing as well as the titles.
So with the location, we couldn't change it for editing, so we just figured to try and change the aspect by filming again, by improving it.
Yeah, so for the second time we went shooting for our film opening, we chose an area which was basically a abandoned
car park
basement, and we went there at night, so it was really dark, and
it had different levels, and they usually turn the lights on, but we went to the bottom level because it was completely dark. There was none of the street lights coming in either, so we thought this would be really effective for the opening.
Yeah, and we used different camera shots as well. We tried to use a 360 tracking as well, and we did over the shoulder shots, and we tried to experiment more with our camera shots, and we just filmed as much as we could. And
we tried to get an establishing shot because loads of openings have these, but it was a bit difficult. But we have got a shot where you can see the headlights of the car. So
yeah, and we improved the location as well, and we improved the lighting, because in our previous final cut of our film opening that we did before, it was really bright, and that was the purpose of it, because we wanted to show a psychiatrist office.
Yeah, like a contrast of what's happening with the mood and what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
So we tried to challenge the normal codes and conventions, but it didn't work in our favor. So this time we kind of followed them, and we went with darker lighting, and we added the effect. We used blue torches as well to give a cold effect.
The typical villain victim that's used in Todorov's narrative theory, and we used that as well.
And we experimented more with editing as well. So we increased the pace of some clips, and we made some slow motion just to fit the whole scene. We also downloaded fonts from the internet to go with the horror genre, and we added them to our film opening, and we followed the codes and conventions.
Yeah, and we changed the brightness, and because in typical horror openings they use red as iconography, as blood, so we use that as well, even though we don't really have much blood and gore, but it does still identify that it's a horror movie. So we've done that, and we changed the font on each bit to make sure that it says produced, so it would have the word and then the name would be in a different shade.
Yeah, so we were just kind of going along with the horror genre and trying to add bits and pieces to improve our previous one as well. So we learnt a lot from our first one, and we learnt that we should follow the codes and conventions. And if we're going,
it's a bit unclear what sort of genre it is.
And if we're going against the codes and conventions, we should try to do it more properly. Yeah. So we learned about the lighting and editing and sound as well, to an extent.
One thing we didn't change was the institutional logo, because we had good feedback on it, and it was quite effective as well, because it was linking to the genre and it was quite mysterious and eerie.
Yeah. So yeah, that was about it.
Yeah.